Denzel Washington is back, and this time he's stepping into a role that forces him to ask the question nobody ever wants to face. What would you do if everything you loved was on the line? It's been nearly 2 decades since Denzel last teamed up with director Spike Lee, but their reunion isn't just another Hollywood partnership. This new film, Highest to Lowest, is built around a dilemma so raw, so real that even Denzel admits he had to stop and think, all money ain't good money. What would you do if it was your son? And that's the heart of the story. It's not just about power, fame, or money. It's about choices that define who you are when no one's watching. That's the kind of moral fire Denzel thrives in. The kind that doesn't just entertain but leaves you squirming in your seat, wondering what you would do in his place. But here's where it gets even more interesting. This script almost never made it to Spike Lee. Denzel himself stumbled onto it, and within hours, he had Lee on board. That lightning-fast decision sparked a reunion fans have been waiting for since the early 2000s. And the way Denzel talks about it? He makes it sound like fate. Like this story wasn't just handed to him, it was meant for him. But fate is only the beginning. Because once the cameras rolled, this project took a life of its own. When you hear about a Denzel Washington and Spike Lee film, it feels like something big is about to happen. And in this case, it almost didn't. Until a single script landed in Denzel's hands. He doesn't even remember exactly where it came from. Maybe through an agent, maybe a producer. But what mattered wasn't how it got to him. What mattered was the feeling it sparked the moment he read it. It was gritty. It was New York. It was alive with the kind of energy that doesn't come around often. And Denzel knew instantly who could bring it to life. This is Spike, he thought. This is his world. So he sent it over. Not weeks later, not days, within hours. And the response, pure Spike Lee. 8 hours after Denzel passed it along, Spike was on the phone, no hesitation. When do we start? That's the kind of creative shorthand you only earn after decades of trust. This isn't just two professionals working together. It's two storytellers who know how to sharpen each other's vision. Their history runs deep. Malcolm X, He Got Game, Inside Man, Mo Better Blues. Every time they come together, they carve out a piece of cinema that sticks in the culture. But this time was different. Almost 20 years had passed since their last collaboration. Entire eras of film had come and gone. And yet, as soon as Spike laid eyes on this script, it felt like picking up right where they left off. Denzel says he didn't want to watch the original version of the film this story was based on. He didn't want comparisons or someone else's blueprint in his head. He wanted Spike's vision, his spin, his New York. And that's exactly what he got. But a powerful reunion is only the setup. The real weight of this film lies in the moral storm at its center. In Highest to Lowest, Denzel Washington steps into the shoes of a powerful music mogul, a man who's built his empire from the ground up, who's seen the glitter of success and the grime behind it. But beneath all that wealth and control, he faces a choice that tears at the very core of who he is. On the surface, it's a business decision, but it quickly unravels into something much more personal. His son is caught up in a dangerous mess, and suddenly, money, influence, and power mean nothing. Because when it's your child on the line, the question changes. All money ain't good money, Denzel says, repeating the phrase like it's not just a line from the film, but a warning to the audience. And then he drops the question that hits like a punch. What would you do if it were your son? That's the heart of the film, the moral dilemma. It's easy to talk about integrity when the stakes are low. It's easy to say you'd always choose the right path. But what happens when the wrong choice is the only one that guarantees your family's survival? That's where this story lives, in the gray areas. In the moments where doing the right thing could cost you everything, and doing the wrong thing might save the person you love most. And Denzel thrives in that space. He's played heroes, villains, leaders, and outcasts. But this role is something different. It's not about good versus evil. It's about the quiet, impossible choices that define you when nobody else can make them for you. But just when you think this is strictly a story about morality and family, the film flips the script with something unexpected: music. And not just as background noise, but as a driving force that shapes every scene. Music isn't just a soundtrack in Highest to Lowest. It's a heartbeat. Every scene is drenched in rhythm, culture, and the raw energy of the streets. And it doesn't just sit in the background, It collides head-on with Denzel's character, shaping the way the story unfolds. One of the wildest moments on set came when Denzel found himself in a rap battle with none other than AI Rocky. Think about that for a second. Denzel Washington, the same man who delivered Shakespeare with chilling precision and brought August Wilson's words to life, suddenly trading bars in a freestyle showdown. And here's the kicker. He improvised. Completely. Borrowing lines from Nas, twisting them with his own delivery, and firing them back at AAP like he'd been rapping his whole life. Spike Lee later admitted most of those lyrics weren't even in the script. Denzel just went with it. The reaction? Shock. AAP thought Denzel would come in old school, maybe a little stiff. Instead, he spit bars so sharp that Rocky had to laugh and say, "Who is this guy?" It was respect, earned in real time. But that wasn't just a playful moment between co-stars, it revealed something deeper. Denzel's relationship with music runs wider than most people realize. Sure, he's got the jazz classics in his blood, but he also admits to being a fan of Memphis rap, and even name-dropped underground artists he's been listening to lately. He might joke about being analog, but his ear is tuned to everything, past and present. And in the film, that shows. The music doesn't just play like it drives the tension, the stakes, and the choices his character has to make. It's not just a movie about morality, it's about culture. But while music brought fire to the story, Denzel's own personality brought something else entirely. A clash between old-school analog discipline and the new digital generation. For all his larger-than-life roles and legendary status, Denzel Washington insists on one thing. He's analog. He laughs about it, but you can tell he means it. No playlists, no apps, no fancy setups. He admits he doesn't even know how to make one. Meanwhile, standing across from him on set is A-Ape Rocky, the definition of digital. A man who lives online, who's tapped into culture minute by minute, who can summon a playlist with a swipe of his thumb. And yet, in that gap between Denzel's analog soul and Rocky's hyper-connected world, something powerful happened. Denzel didn't try to pretend. He leaned into it. He said, "I embrace my inner analog." And Rocky, he respected it. Because analog isn't about being outdated. It's about being grounded. It's about staying rooted in a world that's moving faster every single day. That dynamic became part of the film's energy. Denzel's character is a man trying to navigate a world that doesn't play by old rules anymore. The business has changed, the streets have changed, even music itself has changed. But the core dilemma, like protecting your family, choosing between right and wrong, that stays timeless. And watching Denzel talk about this is almost like watching two eras meet face to face. One foot in the past, one in the present, both colliding in ways that feel raw and real. That tension, that balance between the analog and the modern, doesn't just make for a good story, it makes for a living, breathing clash of culture. And in the middle of it all, Denzel refusing to bend, but still finding common ground with the new generation. But the bond between him and A$AP Rocky wasn't just built on music or even respect. It grew into something more, a chemistry that lit up the set and spilled over into real admiration. On screen, Denzel Washington and A$AP Rocky might be on opposite sides of a music empire. But off-screen, the connection was instant. Denzel admitted he didn't spend much time with Rocky before shooting. That wasn't by accident. "That's just how I work," he said. "We meet when we meet. That's the point." He wanted their first real interactions to be authentic, raw enough to feed into their performances. And when the cameras finally rolled, Rocky surprised him. Intelligent, respectful, sharp. Not just a rapper crossing into film, but someone who came prepared to trade lines with one of the greatest actors alive. Denzel, usually the one catching others off guard, found himself caught by Rocky's presence. I was like, okay, this kid's the real deal. But it wasn't all serious. At one point, someone joked that Rocky looked like a younger Denzel. Denzel shot back immediately. Nobody looks like me, son. The studio erupted. It was classic Denzel. Playful, but with that edge of charisma that reminds you why nobody else compares. That balance of admiration and humor shaped their on-set chemistry. Rocky openly admired Denzel's craft, watching closely, learning from him. Meanwhile, Denzel leaned into the role of mentor without ever making it obvious. It wasn't forced, it wasn't staged. It was a natural give and take between two performers from completely different worlds finding common ground. And when you see them on screen, that chemistry bleeds into every scene. It's not just acting, it's two people testing, respecting, and challenging each other in real time. But while Rocky gave Denzel energy, Denzel gave something back: his signature wit, the humor that makes him more than just a serious actor. And in the middle of heavy themes, he still found a way to keep everyone laughing. If there's one thing about Denzel Washington, it's that he never lets the room get too heavy. Even while talking about moral dilemmas and family struggles, he'll slip in a joke that flips the mood in seconds. During the interview, he teased about working out twice a day, lifting and getting strong. When asked if he was ready to show off the results, he laughed and waved it off. I gotta respect the professionals. I gotta keep a jacket on. I can't compete with those NFL guys. Then, with perfect timing, he added, "The only thing better than being me? Being in the NFL." The audience roared. That's Denzel in a nutshell: sharp, self aware, and effortlessly funny. He has this way of pulling people in with his seriousness, then disarming them with humor right when they least expect it. And he didn't stop there. Looking around the brand new studio, he cracked, "Y'all are rich, huh? This place is beautiful. You got some money." It wasn't just a joke. It was Denzel reminding everyone that no matter how serious the topic, he sees the humanity, the humor, in every situation. That energy carried onto the set of Highest to Lowest. Even in the middle of tense, emotional scenes, Denzel kept the atmosphere grounded. Jokes, one-liners, playful jabs. It kept the cast loose, the chemistry alive, and the performances sharper. Because when the room trusts the lead actor to keep things balanced, everyone else rises with him. But behind the laughs and the charisma, Denzel left the audience, and his fans, with a final message. A reminder that the film's core isn't about money, fame, or even music. It's about choices. And his closing words hammered that home. As the interview wrapped, Denzel Washington leaned forward and gave one last reminder. The kind of line that lingers long after the cameras shut off. "Old money ain't good money." It wasn't just a catchphrase for the movie, it was the heartbeat of the story. A warning that not all success is worth the cost. That sometimes the deal that looks like salvation is the very thing that destroys you. And Denzel wanted people to feel that lesson the way his character does, in their gut, which is why he pushed fans to experience Highest to Lowest in theaters first. "Go see it in the theater, please," he said with that signature grin. "Apple's got enough money." The crowd laughed, but the point stuck. This isn't just another streaming flick to half-watch on your couch. It's a film meant to grab you, surround you, and force you into the same impossible questions the characters face. Because when the lights dim and the story unfolds, it stops being about Denzel or Spike Lee or even the cast. It becomes about you, sitting there asking yourself what you would do if your world collapsed and the only choices left were all bad ones. That's the genius of Denzel Washington. He doesn't just perform, he pulls you into the dilemma, makes you wrestle with it, and leaves you carrying it long after the credits roll. Highest to Lowest is more than a reunion between two legends. It's a mirror held up to every audience member, daring them to answer the same question Denzel posed again and again. What would you do?